Heartwarming twist: after 5 years apart, she discovered her billionaire ex married the nanny. Leah's heartbeat raced as she cleaned the last table at the cafe. The sun poured through the windows, creating an inviting atmosphere of warmth and laughter all around. Maplewood was a small town where family values thrived, and Leah lived every moment dedicated to her 8-year-old son, Timmy. As she wiped down the counter, a group of friends with mugs in hand shared their latest gossip, and Leah couldn't help but feel a pang of nostalgia wash over her. In this cozy cafe, everything reminded her of the life she once dreamt of with Jake, her high school sweetheart who had vanished to chase billion-dollar dreams, leaving her behind. 5 years had passed, but the memories of Jake remained etched in her heart. He had been so full of promise, the boy with dreams who vowed to build a grand future together. Yet, here she was, working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. Her days were often busy but rich with laughter, especially from Timmy, whose grinning face lit up her world. Between serving lattes and scrubbing floors, Leah poured every ounce of love into her son, keeping the essence of family alive. But as days turned into years, a shadow of betrayal lingered. Leah had thought she moved on until that fateful day when she overheard a devastating bit of gossip, a whisper among patrons revealing that Jake had married Amber, the very nanny she had once welcomed into her life. Leah's world shattered like glass. How could he pick her, the sweet, charming Amber, to share his life with? The betrayal cut deep, reopening wounds she thought were healed. Her chest tightened as she stirred her thoughts, questioning everything. Memories danced around her like specters, the laugh they shared in the cafe after school, the stolen kisses in the autumn leaves, it all came crashing down. Rage curled in her gut, mixing with a profound sense of betrayal. Leah resolved it was time to confront Jake, not only for the heartache but also about a financial matter. How could she let those old debts linger, debts of trust that were now feeling unjustly out of balance? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. When they met, the emotions surged to the surface like a tidal wave. Leah stood before Jake, feeling both fury and vulnerability. In him, she saw the man she had once loved. Yet, between them lay a chasm filled with betrayal, fed by the insidious flirtations of the very nanny she had trusted. Every word he spoke felt hollow, every smile a reminder of a love lost to greed and manipulation. As she learned more about Amber's games, Leah was surrounded by the unwavering support of the Maplewood community. Neighbors rallied around her, bolstering her strength to confront not just the past but the power within her. Slowly, she shed her doubts. She discovered a community full of compassion, one that cherished family and honesty. Just as Leah began to embrace this newfound strength, a revelation swirled in her mind like a storm. Did forgiveness lie at the heart of this bruise, or was it time to let go completely? And in that moment, as her resolve strengthened, she stood on the precipice of a decision that would redefine her future. Would she step bravely into her own light, or succumb to the weight of the past still lurking in the shadows? The questions hung thick in the air as she prepared to take the leap. Leah took a deep breath as she stood outside Jake's house, her heart racing like it did when she was a teenager. The memory of his laughter echoed in her ears. Today, she was no longer the girl who had watched him leave, she was a mother determined to reclaim her narrative. She was there not to weep over lost love, but to confront the man who had left her with a wound that refused to heal. The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows that stretched across the manicured lawn. Jake's home, a sprawling testament to his success, glimmered in the fading light, yet it felt like a prison to her. She wasn't here to beg or plead. No, she had crafted her words carefully, understanding now that she deserved a voice, a strong and unyielding one. As she raised her hand to knock, Leah hesitated. What if he didn't care? What if he was really happy with Amber? She shook away those thoughts. What did it matter? It was time for closure, a breaking of chains that had long bound her spirit. When the door creaked open, she was met with Jake's surprised blue gaze. He looked older, more distinguished, but the warmth she once knew was cloaked in something more distant. Leah, he breathed, taking a step back, as if the sight of her was overwhelming. Hi, Jake. She swallowed hard, her voice steady. I need to talk to you. He hesitated but finally stepped aside, allowing her to enter. The familiar scent of his cologne wrapped around her like a bittersweet embrace, stirring a whirlwind of memories. Leah pushed them aside. They were just ghosts now, remnants of a love lost in a maze of choices. Is this about Timmy? Jake asked, a hint of caution in his tone. I know. Leah interrupted, her pulse quickening with resolve. This is about us. About what you did. How you left. He frowned, scrubbing a hand through his hair. I didn't mean to hurt you, Leah. We were kids. I had to grow up. By marrying Amber? She shot back, the pain erupting like a flame. How could you do that? I wasn't thinking, he replied, frustration creeping into his voice. I was trying to create something for myself. And at what cost? My trust? Our history? The silence hung thick between them, heavy with unsaid words. Leah took a step closer, her heart pounding. I worked hard to move on, Jake. I built a life for my son. But seeing you with her, it broke something in me I thought was whole. His expression softened, and for a fleeting moment, Leah saw a flicker of the boy who once loved her fiercely. I regret hurting you, Leah. I really do. It wasn't easy for me either. Tears pricked at her eyes, a mix of sadness and anger simmering beneath the surface. You had it all, Jake. A career, a family. You just didn't choose me. The weight of their past, the bitter truths, swirled around them, invisible but palpable. Leah's resolve wavered, but she took a deep breath, grounding herself. I came here to find out if there's any room for forgiveness. Not just for you but for me. I want to let this go. A pause stretched as Jake absorbed her words. She searched his eyes, hoping to find understanding, but the flicker of confusion there unsettled her. I want Timmy to know his father without the shadows of resentment, she added softly. Just when Jake opened his mouth as if to speak, the door swung open entirely, revealing Amber. Her smile was bright, but Leah felt the air narrow between them like a blade. Amber looked between them, the tension unmistakable. Sorry to interrupt, dinner's ready. She chirped, but the warmth behind her words felt forced, as if she sensed the storm brewing. Leah's heart sank lower. This wasn't over. Not yet. Maybe dinner should wait, Leah said, her voice stealing again, as she locked eyes with Jake. They had a lot left to untangle, and it was time for the final knot to be undone. But would he step forward, or would he retreat into the life he'd chosen? In that moment, Leah felt the flutter of apprehension. Would she truly find closure, or was she opening a door to a deeper wound? The air thickened with tension as Amber's smile faltered. Leah's heart raced. She could almost hear her own breath echoing in the hollow room as she searched Jake's face for a sign, for any sign, that he wanted to continue this conversation. Honey, everything all right? Amber asked, eyeing them, suspicion glimmering behind her cheerful facade. We were just talking, Jake said, but his tone was too casual, like he was trying to brush away the urgency that had electrified the room. Leah stood firm, unwilling to let this moment fade. I'd like to finish my conversation with Jake. Please, she added, her voice steady despite the rising tide of emotion within. Oh, Amber said, a brief flash of confusion crossing her face. All right then. set the table. She hesitated, stealing glances back at them as she retreated, the door almost closing behind her. The moment of silence that followed was deafening. Leah felt Jake's gaze scrutinizing her, weighing the meaning behind her words. The warmth she felt moments ago began to chill. "Leah," he started, but she cut him off. "No more excuses, Jake. If you regret what you did, then we should talk about it. Now." She wasn't sure where her courage had come from, but she wasn't about to let it slip away. Jake ran a hand over his face, weariness evident in the lines around his eyes. "You don't know what it's been like for me." Amber isn't part of this conversation. Leah interrupted, a sudden surge of frustration pushing her words out like cannon fire. "You made your choices, and I'm here to discuss how they affected me, us, even Timmy. Not her." He swallowed, and the weight of her accusation clearly pained him. "I can't just erase what happened. I didn't choose to marry Amber to hurt you, Leah. But it did hurt me. This isn't just about you anymore." Leah felt her voice cracking, the pent-up longing spilling over. "I had to rebuild everything after you walked away. And now, seeing you happy with her. It feels like a betrayal. I need to know, was I nothing more than a phase for you?" The question hung between them like a knife, and Jake's features went tense. "You were never just a phase. Then why did you run?" The rawness of her own voice surprised her. It shook with the weight of the past. "I was scared," he admitted, his gaze dropping to the floor. "I didn't know how to handle it all. I still don't, Leah." He paused, taking a deep breath. "I thought I could create a better life. A stable one for everyone including you. And I thought I was doing the right thing." Leah felt the anger melting away, replaced by something softer and more complicated. "But what you called stable hurt me, Jake. I can't pretend it didn't leave scars." The door creaked slightly, and she knew Amber was still waiting nearby, eavesdropping on their conversation. The thought sparked Leah's resolve yet again. "Timmy deserves more than silence between us. He deserves to know his father, but the way things are, they can't stay like this." "What are you proposing?" Jake asked, his voice low, as if he was afraid of the answer too. "I want us to find a way forward. A way where the past doesn't choke us anymore." Leah felt a stir of hope, even if it was tentative and fragile. Amber poked her head back into the room, a nervous look dancing on her face. "Dinner really is getting cold." Amber," Leah interrupted, her voice firm yet kind, "we need to settle this first." The air felt electric as Jake shifted his weight, caught between two worlds past and present, Leah's pain and Amber's confusion. She felt as if the ground was shifting beneath their feet, opening up a way forward, yet uncertain. Could they navigate this new territory together? Or was this confrontation destined to deepen the divide already carving them apart? Leah couldn't shake the sense that their words might ignite fire or rubble. "How do we begin?" Jake finally said, looking back at her, his blue eyes searching for clarity. And in that moment, a flicker of hope danced between them. It felt like starting a new chapter. Would it be one of healing, or yet another heartbreak? Leah swallowed hard, knowing all too well that the answer lay in the choices they were about to make. "Let us take it step by step, together." As she spoke, the weight of the world shifted. The door was just beginning to open, and Leah could see a glimpse of light. But would they both be brave enough to walk through it? The tension crackled like static electricity in the room. Leah watched Jake, his blue eyes reflecting a mix of relief and trepidation. It felt almost surreal, yet vital, as if they stood on a precipice, ready to leap but unsure of where they would land. Step by step, Jake murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "That sounds realistic," Leah interjected, her heartbeat steadying. "It's a start. I'm not asking for perfection, just honesty. We both deserve that." He nodded slowly, his expression shifting from regret to a hint of gratitude. I want to help Timmy. I really do. But how can I do that when I've, well, messed everything up? That's the first step, isn't it? Admitting it? We can't change the past, but we can try to be present. Leah felt lightheaded, the fear of what could go wrong hanging like a dark cloud above, yet she pressed on. We owe that to Timmy. He deserves to know both his parents, flaws and all. Jake shifted, the weight of their past settling heavy on his shoulders. I don't want to hurt him. Or you. Leah took a deep breath, knowing this would be challenging. Then let us figure out how to be a family. Even if it's complicated. I'm not saying it will be easy, but it has to start somewhere. Just then, Amber interrupted, peeking through the door again. Dinner's ready, she said with forced cheerfulness, her eyes darting between them. The warmth that usually emanated from her fell flat. Leah felt a stab of annoyance. Why couldn't Amber just give them a moment? But that wasn't her problem. Leah turned to Jake, ready to push forward. I know this is a lot to process, Leah began, but Jake's gaze shifted to Amber, conflicted, trapped between two worlds. The rush of his emotions painted his face in shades of guilt and confusion. Leah, Jake started, but he broke off, glancing nervously at Amber. Let us talk after dinner, Leah suggested, voice softer yet firm. We can keep it short. I just need. She hesitated, struggling to articulate her thoughts. I just need clarity, Jake. That's all I want right now. Amber, sensing the weight of their conversation, finally turned and left the door open slightly wider, leaving an untouched meal behind. Jake took a step closer to Leah and lowered his voice, almost conspiratorially. You really want this? I mean, for us to figure things out, to try again? I want to be honest about our past. The pain, the love, everything in between. If there's any chance for us to be a family, I need you to meet me halfway. And just like that, before he could reply, Leah felt the rush of emotions rising again, the love, the hurt, and the flicker of hope they were trying to ignite. But it still came with uncertainty. As they moved into the dining area together, Leah's heart raced. She couldn't shake the feeling like they were walking into a minefield. One wrong step could set everything ablaze again. The aroma of food barely registered as Leah settled into her chair, competing thoughts swirling in her mind. Would Amber accept their journey? Would they all find a way to coexist? Well, this looks delicious, Jake said, forcing a polite smile as he picked up his fork. Leah watched him, his attempt at normalcy struggling against the backdrop of their unresolved history. Leah felt her stomach twist. They needed to tread carefully in this delicate situation. As conversation flowed around the dinner table, she stole glances at Jake. It would take time, patience, and bravery, but she felt a flicker of something more than fear flitting through her, an idea. If Amber opened the door for them tonight, this whole reunion could shift the dynamics of their family. But Leah's thoughts were interrupted when Timmy rushed into the room, his curls bouncing as he waved a drawing, his face beaming with joy. Mom! Dad! Look what I made! In that instant, Leah felt her heart swell but also a stab of anxiety. Would they both be ready for what came next? Would they stand strong together to help their son navigate this fine line? The light from the kitchen shone brightly, illuminating their son's innocence and excitement. Leah exchanged a glance with Jake, an unspoken resolve swirling between them. Whatever challenges they faced, it was worth fighting for, especially for Timmy. All right, buddy, Leah said, her voice steadying, holding on to hope. Lay it on us. We're ready. But as Timmy climbed up onto Jake's lap, Leah's heart raced, realizing they were now standing at a new threshold. What if this moment revealed underlying truths they were not prepared to face? Would the joy of reconnection overshadow the lingering shadows of their past? Are we really ready for this? Leah thought, a spark igniting fear and hope. Only time would tell. Timmy's excitement filled the air, his innocence unfurling like the colorful drawings he clutched in his small hands. Leah's heart swelled at the sight of him, a living reminder of everything she once cherished. Yet, the shadows of the past loomed large, their whispers growing louder as Timmy climbed onto Jake's lap. "Can I show you?" Timmy's voice broke through Leah's whirlwind of thoughts. His eyes sparkled with anticipation, blissfully unaware of the tension hanging in the room. "Of course, buddy," Jake replied, his smile genuine as he settled Timmy against him. Leah watched, examining the way Jake's hand engulfed her son's tiny shoulder. It was a reassuring gesture, yet it left her aching inside. Timmy held out the paper triumphantly. "It's a drawing of us. Look." Leah leaned in, excitement battling with anxiety. The drawing was a jumbled explosion of colors, but the essence was clear, a family, a sun shining over three stick figures, arms linked together. "It's perfect," Leah said, her voice choked with emotion. "We're a family, just like you drew us." Jake's eyes were glued to the drawing, and Leah caught a glimpse of gratitude and longing dancing across his face. Perhaps this was a moment meant to heal, an opportunity for them to rediscover each other through their son's joy. Everyone at school loved it. Timmy continued, his enthusiasm contagious. "I told them you're getting back together. You'll be my real family again." A chill ran down Leah's spine. She forced her smile, not wanting to dampen Timmy's joy. But the word "real" tumbled around her mind. What did that even mean? Just as the swirling complexities of their situation coiled tightly within her, Amber appeared in the doorway, arms crossed and expression unreadable. "Timmy, time for a snack. Come on, let us give your dad some room." Leah's heart sank. "Wait," she said, feeling the need to hold on to this moment. "He was just showing us his drawing." A flicker of something darker passed over Amber's face, but her smile remained rigid. "Yeah, but he should definitely grab a bite. Let us not interrupt, you know how kids can get." Timmy hesitated, torn between two worlds, glancing between his mother's pleading eyes and Amber's firm stance. "Mom, can I stay?" Timmy asked innocently, shifting on Jake's lap, his voice full of hope. Jake's grip tightened around him protectively. "It's okay, buddy. Just go with Amber for now. We'll be here when you come back." Leah's chest tightened at the way Jake spoke to Timmy, a father in the making. She wanted it to be right and easy, but part of her feared the truths hidden beneath that veneer. Timmy nodded reluctantly and slid off Jake's lap, racing toward Amber. Leah watched them leave, uncertainty gnawing at her. Once the door clicked shut, the silence felt heavy. "We need to talk," Leah said, choosing her words carefully. "About how we handle Timmy, and what our next step is." Jake's face hardened slightly, but she could still see the edges of vulnerability. "I want to be there for him, Leah. I do. But it's not just about him, it's about us too." "Exactly," Leah agreed, her pulse racing. "Whatever we decide, it can't be half-hearted. Timmy deserves more than that. He has seen what it's like for us to be apart." "Are you sure you want all this?" Jake asked, a pause hanging in the air. "What we have is fragile, and I don't want to mess it up again." "Then let us promise each other to be honest," Leah replied, the fear in her heart slowly transforming into something stronger. "If we're going to do this, we have to do it right." Jake nodded, his blue eyes clear. "All right. Honesty. I can get behind that." Amber returned then, arms crossed again, eyes narrowed. The shift felt palpable, tensions rising with every glance that passed around the table. "Oh, what's happening?" she asked, her tone light yet firm. "Everything okay?" Leah opened her mouth, emotion swelling. But deep down, she knew this conversation would be a battle, not just for their son but for their second chance. Yeah, just planning for dinner, Amber, Leah said, the facade returning, though she felt anything but. Okay. Amber's eyebrows lifted slightly, but she didn't press any further, choosing instead to fill the space with casual conversation. Leah watched as Timmy rejoined them, a little more reserved but still holding on to that drawing, the symbol of their hope or a reminder of all they stood to lose. As they sat together, Leah felt a storm brewing. Answers lay close yet felt worlds away. The balancing act of their fragile family was unfolding, and the uncertainties remained. What would happen next if the shadows of their past threatened to re-emerge? Would the ties of honesty and hope be enough to protect Timmy from the underlying currents? Leah glanced at Jake, agony mixing with determination. She knew they had a challenging path ahead, but they had taken the first step. Still, the road loomed daunting, and Leah wondered, would they find the courage to navigate it together or would the past swallow them whole again? The atmosphere gradually shifted as Timmy settled back at the table, clutching his drawing tighter, the paper crinkling slightly in his sweet grip. Leah noticed how he forced a smile, that innocent hope still shining in his eyes, yet she could feel the remnants of unease swirling beneath the surface. Amber resumed her role, chattering animatedly about snacks and upcoming school events, her demeanor bright and casual. Leah smiled politely, but beneath her facade, tension knotted in her stomach. Jake seemed to drift into silence as he colored himself into the background, keeping a careful distance from Leah's gaze. She tried to catch his eye, to connect in some way, but he remained purposefully focused on Timmy, who was oblivious to the emotional storm around him. "What's your favorite snack, bud?" Jake asked, gently ruffling Timmy's hair. Leah felt a warmth at the interaction. It was fatherly, tender, as if Jake were trying to carve out his own space in Timmy's world. Yet, it stung. It brought forward emotions she'd buried deep, fears about how much Jake was willing to invest emotionally and how much Amber could still pull them apart. "I love cheese puffs," Timmy exclaimed, his face lighting up. "And I want chocolate milk too." Amber nodded enthusiastically, quick to accommodate. "Sure thing. I'll whip you up something special." Her physical presence was a reminder of the life Leah had stepped away from, one where Jake didn't just belong to her but to someone else entirely. Leah turned to Jake, searching his expression, hoping for a flicker of resolve to match her own. "We can't keep avoiding it," she said softly, using Timmy's excitement to spur their conversation forward. "Talking about what's next, we owe him that." Jake's jaw tightened, but he nodded slowly, as if relenting to the inevitable truth. "You're right. We should figure out how to blend everything together. What do you think?" Leah pressed, her heart racing. "We can't let Timmy get caught in the middle. He needs to know what's real." Jake glanced at Timmy, who was now deeply engaged with Amber, blissfully unaware of the stakes. "I want to be honest with him and with you." Leah felt a glimmer of hope. "Then let us lay things out. About us. About him. About Amber." Jake's eyes shifted sideways towards Amber, then back at Leah. "I want to make sure Amber's on the same page too. It wouldn't be fair otherwise." Leah felt a spark of frustration. "Why does it matter what Amber thinks? Timmy is our priority." "She's still part of his life, Leah," Jake countered. "We can't ignore that." In that moment, Leah had to swallow her indignation. "Fine, but we have to get through to her. She needs to understand how much Timmy deserves." "Okay," Jake replied, but there was an edge to his voice, a hesitation that made Leah uneasy. They both turned as Amber returned with a plate of cheese puffs and 2 cups of chocolate milk, her smile radiant against the backdrop of their unresolved conversation. "Snack time," she called, setting the food between Timmy and Jake. Leah's heart sank as she watched Timmy dig into the treats, laughter bubbling up in his throat. But as Amber placed a hand on Jake's shoulder, a sharp reminder of her place in this reconfigured family, Leah felt a mix of love for her son and the pressure building around them like a rubber band ready to snap. Can we all play a game after snack? Timmy asked, eyes wide with excitement. Amber's smile broadened, but Leah felt the hollow thud of her own heart against her ribs. Sure thing, buddy. But what game do you have in mind? But even as Timmy animatedly proposed ideas, Leah's mind was elsewhere. The realities of the past and future collided in a whirlwind, each wave more overwhelming than the last. Just as she thought clarity might finally break through, Jake's phone buzzed violently on the table, shattering the moment. Sorry, he said, fumbling to check it. The smile on his face faltered as his expression shifted rapidly to one that Leah couldn't quite decipher. What is it? She asked, dread pooling in her stomach. I need to take this, Jake said, standing. Abruptly. He walked away, phone pressed to his ear as Leah's heart raced. And then it happened. Leah glanced at Amber, whose eyes narrowed with new information. A grin played on the edges of her lips, almost too satisfied, as if she had captured a secret that would change everything once revealed. What is going on? Leah asked cautiously. Amber's voice came out in a honeyed whisper, but the words were daggers. You really have no idea, do you? In that instant, a chilling realization sliced through Leah's mind. What had she overlooked while trying to piece together their family? How much was about to be unleashed? The room spun as Timmy's laughter echoed around her, leaving Leah caught on a precipice, teetering between hope and despair. Would this moment fracture everything they just started to build? And what truth awaited when Jake finally returned? The air crackled with unspoken tension, and Leah could only wonder if she was ready for the revelations forming just beneath the surface. Timmy's laughter faded into the background, drowned out by the noise in Leah's mind. Her thoughts whirled, a chaotic mix of fear and uncertainty. What did Amber know? How could she smile like that, brimming with secret power? Leah felt a wave of heat rise in her chest, mingling with the chill of dread. The seconds ticked away with agonizing slowness. Leah's eyes followed Jake as he paced by the window, his back turned. She couldn't shake the feeling that each word exchanged with Amber tugged him away from her. Everything about this moment felt wrong, as if they were all playing parts in a messy play that no one had rehearsed. Mom, can I have more cheese puffs? Timmy's innocently bright voice jolted Leah back to the present. He was looking up at her, his big eyes filled with pure excitement, unaware of the storm brewing around him. Of course, honey, Leah managed, forcing a steady smile as she reached for the plate. She poured a generous amount into his small hands, but her mind was still with Jake. Would he return with answers, or would he bring burdens she wasn't prepared to carry? As her hands trembled, Leah stole another glance at Amber. The woman sat there with a veneer of sweetness, but Leah saw a glint in her eyes, a predatory gaze that sent chills racing down her spine. Leah felt like a lion cornered by a carefully calculated foe, and all the battle strategies she thought she could employ seemed foolish now. Are we going to have fun today, or what? Timmy asked, waving a cheese puff excitedly, his enthusiasm infectious. Absolutely. We'll find a great game to play, Leah said, trying to channel her focus toward her son. What about charades? That could be a blast. Yay! I love charades. Timmy squealed, punching the air with his fist. Leah's heart softened at that, but Amber's knowing look pierced through the moment like a sharp knife. Charades sounds fun, Amber agreed, her smile bright but hollow. I used to love playing that game too, back when Timmy was younger. Leah clenched her fists, biting her tongue. How could Amber serve up nostalgia like a warm cookie while knowing hidden truths? It felt like betrayal, and that anger flared in Leah's chest once more. Okay, then. Let us get ready. Timmy said, oblivious to the tension. Leah nodded and turned to get up from the table, but everything spun again as Jake's voice interrupted her thoughts. Leah, he said, finally returning, his brow creased with concern. Can we talk? Alone? Her heart dropped. Whatever conversation he just hadn't been good, and the gravity of his expression confirmed it. "Sure," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. They stepped into the living room, leaving the echoes of Timmy's laughter behind. The air here felt different, heavier, as if it knew what secrets lingered in the shadows. Leah squared her shoulders, preparing for whatever Jake might say. "Amber mentioned something I didn't expect," Jake started, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's about my job. And, well, the contract I didn't tell you about." "What do you mean?" Leah asked, her heart thrumming in her chest. There was a beat of silence. "It's about the project with her brother, and it could change everything." Leah's breaths came in quick bursts. "Change what? Change how?" Jake's words hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Leah barely heard Amber's name cross his lips. "I think Timmy should know the truth, Leah." And in that moment, Leah felt the ground beneath her shift. Was the blend of honesty and fear they had hoped for drifting further away? She blinked against the swell of tears. "Honesty about what, Jake?" Before he could answer, the sound of Timmy giggling erupted through the doorway, a reminder of innocence and hope, contrasting the storm brewing in the living room. But as Leah stared at Jake, she saw the conflict in his eyes mirrored her own fear. Every choice, every word could either pull them together or tear them apart. And just when Leah thought she couldn't bear it any longer, Jake leaned closer, his voice a whisper. "When I say I need you to trust me, it's more than a promise, it's a plea." The room felt electric as Leah processed his words, adrenaline coursing through her. What would trusting him really mean? What did they stand to gain or lose? A sharp ring of Jake's phone broke the moment, cutting through the tension like a knife. Who could it be now? What more could this day possibly bring? "Just a minute," Jake murmured, turning away. But Leah caught one last glimpse of uncertainty in his eyes before the weight returned. What else was about to unfold, and how deeply would it affect Timmy's world? Leah's stomach twisted because she feared they were all just one revelation away from spiraling into chaos. How far would Jake go to keep them together? And more importantly, would Leah be ready for what came next? Leah stood frozen, grappling with the whirlpool of emotions crashing around her. Jake pulled his phone from his pocket, his face growing tense as he read the caller ID. It was a name she didn't recognize, but the way his expression shifted sent an icy jolt down her spine. "Take your time," she said, trying to sound casual, but the edge in her voice betrayed her. Each ring felt louder, echoing her fears. "Yeah, hello?" Jake answered, turning slightly to take the call, and her heart raced. She wished she could tune out his voice, focus instead on the innocent laughter escaping the kitchen. Timmy's joy was a world away from the storm brewing between her and Jake. As Jake stepped further into the room, Leah crossed her arms, feeling small and unsure. It felt like the walls were closing in on her, pressing on the suffocating uncertainty. She fiddled with a fraying thread on her sleeve, a familiar nervous habit emerging. She didn't want to think of what could happen if he returned with unsettling news. "Okay, yes, I understand," Jake said, his voice low and measured. Leah strained to catch a hint of his tone, but it revealed nothing. Every syllable felt like a countdown to doom. She glanced towards Timmy, who was now in the living room with a handful of cheese puffs and an impromptu dance to a song playing on the radio. If only she could share that innocence, escape the tension hanging over them. "Thanks for calling," Jake finally said, ending the call. He ran a hand over his face, revealing the weight of the conversation in his furrowed brow. "What was that about?" Leah asked cautiously, her heart pounding in her ears. "It was about Amber," he said, taking a deep breath. "She wants to meet to discuss the project." The hesitation hung in the air. It was unspoken, yet clear this meeting had implications, consequences neither of them wanted to face. "Do you think we should?" Leah ventured, heart racing. She felt as if they stood on a ledge, poised to jump. Really, Jake? You want to drag Timmy into whatever this is? I don't want to, Jake replied, running a hand through his hair, frustration evident on his face. But I feel like we're already caught in something bigger than us. Amber knows more than we do. She's connected. Connected? To what? Leah felt as if she were standing on a board about to break beneath her. What are we risking here? Leah watched the sunlight creeping through the window, illuminating the dust in the air. It felt wrong, tauntingly beautiful, a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling inside her. Something told her that whatever they faced now would reveal hidden truths, truths that could unravel everything they had built. Look, Jake said, stepping closer. I wouldn't have suggested it if I didn't think it might help. I'm worried, Leah. We can't ignore this. She clenched her jaw, her emotions battling inside her. You sound like you trust her, she shot back, her voice sharper than intended. Trust isn't the issue. It's about understanding the whole picture, he replied, his sincerity cutting through. They both fell silent, each lost in their fears, the weight of decision hanging heavily in the air. I just want to protect Timmy, Leah whispered finally, her voice trembling. He deserves a normal life, not this. Jake's gaze softened. I want that too, more than anything. But we both know that sometimes you have to face the storm for the sun to shine again. The cut of those words pierced her heart. So what, we wade through this mess together? Yes. His voice was firm, reassuring, yet the uncertainty lurking in their shadows was palpable. As Leah met his steady gaze, a thought sparked in her mind. Could confronting Amber truly lead them to solutions, or would it expose deeper chasms? Before she could voice her uncertainties, Timmy burst into the living room again, eyes bright. Can we play charades now? A moment of clarity broke through the fog. Leah forced a smile back on her face, knowing she had to protect that joy, even if it meant stepping into the unknown. Okay, let's play, she said, her heart a mix of hope and dread. But in the back of her mind, a question burned: would the truth fracture their fragile world even further, or would it finally set them on a path to healing? And just before the laughter and cheers filled the room, her phone buzzed, a message flashing on the screen that made her stomach drop. It was from an unknown number, the words sending a tremor of fear through her. I know what you did. We need to talk. Who was this, and what did they know? What were they pulling her into now? Leah stared at her phone, the words on the screen blurring momentarily as a wave of anxiety washed over her. The world around her quieted. Timmy's laughter faded to a dull echo, and the kitchen smells seemed to thin out. What do they mean? She whispered to herself, pulse quickening. Jake noticed her expression, stepping closer. What's wrong? His voice was steady but filled with concern. This message. She handed him her phone, reluctant but desperate for answers. Jake read the text, his brow furrowing deeper with each passing second. Who could it be? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Leah felt the weight of the question. It wasn't just an unknown number, it was a potential threat, a fracture in the fragile world they were trying to maintain for Timmy's sake. I don't know, but it's unsettling. Leah swallowed hard. What could this person know? The shadows of past decisions loomed just behind her, ready to leap into the light. We have to think carefully about how we handle this, Jake said, returning her phone. Ignoring it could make things worse. Worse? We're already walking on a tightrope, Jake, she shot back, frustration boiling to the surface. Do we really need more? Timmy dashed past them, a blur of excitement, eager to play charades. His laughter pierced through Leah's tension like sunlight through dark clouds. She forced a smile, but inside, her heart raced, battling fear and dread. Could they face this too? Let us focus on Timmy for now, Jake suggested, his voice softer. We'll figure this out. Just hold on a little longer. Leah nodded, determined to shield their son from this mess. The game began, and, for a few minutes, laughter bubbled up, washing over her like a bomb. Despite the storm brewing within, she lost herself in Timmy's joy, in the silliness of guessing and acting. But as the game wore on, the nagging thought of the message returned, a shadow haunting her thoughts. What if the sender was coming closer? What if their family peace was about to shatter? After the game, Leah slipped away to the bathroom, needing a moment. She stared at her reflection in the mirror, searching for clarity. The excitement in the living room faded, shifting back to silence. With a shaky breath, she tapped the message open again, her finger hovering above the reply button. Just then, she heard the sharp sound of Jake's voice echoing from the living room, seemingly arguing with someone. Was it Amber? That name stirred the turmoil inside her further, a knot tightening in her stomach. She stepped out, wary, and as she approached, she saw Jake standing with Timmy hiding behind him. The front door was ajar, and a figure loomed in the entryway, face obscured by just enough shadow to keep Leah on edge. "Who are you?" Jake demanded, his posture tense and defensive. "Just someone who knows everything," the figure replied coolly, glancing at Leah with eyes she didn't recognize but could feel probing into her soul. "Get away from my family!" Leah shouted, a mixture of fury and fear bubbling to the surface. "No one wants to hurt anyone," the figure said, barely concealing a smirk. "But certain truths need to be uncovered, don't you think? Why were they here? What game were they playing?" Leah's heart thudded in her chest, a mix of fear for Timmy and anger at the intrusion. This wasn't just about her anymore, this was a threat to her family's future. As the figure stepped fully into the light, Leah's breath caught. The face was familiar, yet foreign, and just like that, she was thrown back into the noise of a painful past she thought she'd left behind. What did they want from her? What truths were they talking about? The air was thick with tension, and Leah felt a churning mix of dread and determination. As the figure's lips curled into a sepulchral smile, she realized they had opened a door to a nightmare waiting to be explored, one she may not be able to close again. What had she unlocked by leaving the past behind? The question hung in the air, palpable, begging for an answer. Leah's chest tightened as she squared her shoulders, trying to summon the courage to confront the figure standing at her door. Shadows danced across the man's face, but his eyes glinted with a cold familiarity that sent shivers down her spine. A memory rushed in uninvited, a name long buried. "Mark?" She breathed, astonished. The antagonist from her past had emerged, the one person who knew her secrets all too well. "Surprised to see me, Leah?" Mark said with an unsettling smoothness, stepping forward as if he had an invitation to enter the house. The expression on Jake's face darkened, growing protective of Timmy, who clung to his father's leg, confused. "Why are you here?" Leah demanded, defiance rising in her voice, even as her heart raced. "After all this time, what do you want?" Mark's smirk grew as he glanced at Timmy. "Oh, just ensuring that old wounds don't stay closed. There are secrets, Leah, and kids deserve to know their family's truths, don't they?" A chill ran through her. In that moment, she understood. He had come here to unearth the past, to disrupt the fragile piece they had been trying to stitch together. It felt like an encroaching storm, ready to wash away everything they built. "Stay away from my son," Jake said, stepping protectively in front of Timmy, whose confusion morphed into fear. The innocence in his eyes stung Leah's heart, lighting a fire underneath her silent resolve. "I didn't come to hurt him," Mark replied, his tone suffused with an endless confidence. "I'm here to facilitate some family reunions and revelations. I think we can come to some arrangements." "Arrangements?" Leah echoed, disbelief flashing across her face. "What do you mean?" Mark's eyes danced as he leaned casually against the doorframe. "Simple, really. I know about the money Jake owes, and I can help with that if you're willing to open up your past. There are things you've kept hidden. Secrets that, if let out, might change everything. Leah's stomach churned like a stormy sea. She had fought so hard to keep her past buried, to protect Timmy from the shadows that haunted her. You really think I'd entrust anything to you? She shot back, anger flaring in her chest. You made my life miserable once before. I'm just saying the truth has a way of surfacing, he countered with a languid smile. And these days, the past could help secure your future or ruin it. Your choice. As he spoke, Leah could feel the weight of his words drifting into her consciousness, each one resonating. Would revealing her past truly reshape their future, or would it drag them all into a mess they couldn't escape? Mama, is everything all right? Timmy asked from behind Jake, worry etching lines across his young face. That tiny voice cut through Leah's chaos like a hot knife through butter. Yeah, honey, she said, forcing a smile, even as her heart felt like shattering glass. It's just a friend from long ago. Not a friend, Jake interjected, his voice low and resolute, more like a coward. Call it what you want, but I'm here merely to help Leah feel whole again. Isn't that right? Mark's gaze darted between them, hunger glinting in the edges. You'll leave my family alone, Jake articulated firmly, pulling Timmy closer as if shielding him from an impending storm. That's the point, Jake, Mark said coolly. The family's involved, whether you want it or not. Leah and I have a history that has implications for her son's future. I wonder how much that mess is really worth to you. Leah felt her heart plummet. What modern-day monster had risen in the guise of friendship? Enough! Leah exclaimed, stepping forward to confront Mark. You are not going to manipulate my family. Not now, not ever. This ends today. Timmy deserves a clear path, not this tangled web of deceit and fear. Something shifted in Mark's demeanor. He sized her up, searching for a crack in her resolve. How delightful, he said with mock applause. But you know, I have ways of making you listen. Enough. Jake's voice rang out, all authority and fierce love. If you think you can barge in here, messing with Leah's life, you have another thing coming. Our family is stronger than you think. The tension thickened as Leah looked at Jake, she could see determination blazing in his eyes. In that moment of despair, hope flickered through. Together, they were a united front ready to fight against the demons of their past. In that case, let us just see how strong, Mark said, the confidence of a predator displaying its fangs, because I'm not leaving without a response. A choice. Get out, Leah said firmly, mirroring Jake's fierce presence. You're not welcome here. Whatever you think you can do, you're wrong. I've fought too hard for this family to let you bring chaos back into our lives. For now, Mark said, the dark smile stretching across his face, I'll take my leave. But Leah, don't mistake this as the end. The past always finds a way to catch up. He stepped back into the shadows, leaving Leah's stomach in knots, fear echoing hollowly in her chest. But as the door clicked shut, she drew strength from Jake's unwavering presence and the innocence of Timmy at their feet. The gravity of the moment weighed heavily on Leah's shoulders. They would face this together, they had to. Deep down, Leah understood no matter the turmoil ahead, coming clean to Jake, her trusted partner, and opening the window to her secret would help weather the impending storm. Papa, is that man gone? Timmy asked, his innocence cutting through the heavy tension. Yes, sweet boy, Jake reassured him, lowering down to meet Timmy's gaze. He won't bother us anymore. Leah knelt beside Jake. We need to be honest, Timmy. There are things we need to discuss as a family. At that moment, as guilt and hope met in Leah's heart, she rose alongside them and declared, let us rewrite our story. Jake nodded, his face softening as he took her hand, sincerity reflected in his eyes. Are we really ready for this? Together, as a family, they could tackle whatever awaited them. The challenges ahead would be less daunting in unity, lighting the way for both healing and newfound hope. As they turned away from the door, Leah felt the weight of the world lift, replaced by the warmth and love of a fragile but determined family. "Let us play charades," Jake said, guiding Timmy into the living room, laughter bubbling just beneath the surface. A game of laughter and teamwork could spark a new beginning. Maybe they could face the tempest together. Because in the dance between light and shadow, hope flickered brightly. And at that moment, Leah knew that despite the storm, they were ready for whatever came next. And for once, she opened her heart to the other side of turmoil, the chance at renewal, understanding, and love. So with courage woven into the fabric of her heart, Leah called out, "All right, who's ready to be the first to act?" In the warmth of their laughter, the lingering darkness began to fade, replaced with hope for brighter days ahead. And just like that, they took the first step into a new tomorrow. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Hit that like button to feed the algorithm and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Your support makes all the difference.